Hi everybody, my name is Chelsea, aka Sunspren. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, we're in for something different today. Woo, different! I'm not gonna be complaining or even talking about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. We're gonna be talking about something else, something from a galaxy far, far away. That's right. We're talking Kenobi today. Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Jedi. I love Obi-Wan because he's such an interesting, complex character. He's always surprising, and that's what I love about him. Like from the minute you see him in episode 4, you're like, oh, the old hermit trick, right? He'll be the wizard. But he's surprising, he's cheeky, he's not giving Luke the entire truth, as we've come to find out. You know, the dude shows back up as a ghost, right? Just a surprising character. Before we get into this, spoilers for Kenobi, for the prequels. I'm sure everyone's seen the original trilogy, so I don't think I need to say that, but spoilers for the original trilogy. I've already said too much. But definitely spoilers for Kenobi through episode 3. I didn't watch any more of it than that. You know what? Spoilers further than that, because I've seen stills from 4 and 5, and I'll reference those as well. Okay. Anyway, Kenobi's my favorite Jedi. Even in the prequel trilogy, you know, when he's like a rash, headstrong apprentice to Qui-Gon, and his badassery with a lightsaber totally shocked me. I was like, what? Whoa! Love the Darth Maul duel. That's my favorite Star Wars lightsaber duel of all time. Probably always will be. I love how it shaped Obi-Wan. I love how Qui-Gon shaped Obi-Wan in particular, and the memory of him and his dedication to taking on Anakin, even though he really had no business doing that, other than as a legacy project from Qui-Gon. But his open-mindedness from that point on, I find refreshing, sweet. And Obi-Wan always just makes me happy. He's just the best. You know, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of rash, a little bit of all of these things that are within us, right? You get a sense that he does love, that he does care, that he is interested, that he does want to know, he has a curiosity, but it's I won't say bottled up, but it's contained. It's contained, right? I find that brilliant. And unfortunately, none of that nuance makes it into Disney's series. Not for me, anyway. Let's just go through it from the beginning. All right, it's been 10 years since Order 66. And Obi-Wan, a depressed, chronically depressed, bipolar, unhappy Jedi, former Jedi, has given up on using the Force ever, or helping people, like, ever. Even his own fellow Jedi on the run. He just goes to a factory every day where he's miserable, returns lonely to his exile, and occasionally looks after a 10-year-old boy, Anakin's son, from a distance, buys him a toy, runs into Owen, who tells him he's being, basically, go away, leave us alone. The only believable part of that is that Owen would tell him to leave them alone. That's Owen for you. I just don't believe it. Would Obi-Wan have PTSD? Yes. Would Obi-Wan have dreams, nightmares, think about the past? Absolutely. But as a Jedi, as a human being, and the person we've known Obi-Wan to be, he would not be moping around on Tatooine in a factory he hates for 10 years straight. I would believe this of like first or second year post 66, that he's still dealing daily with the grief, daily with the frustration, and has not yet found a way to make peace with what has happened. And I can see how even maybe 10 years on, he wouldn't fully make peace with it, but he would absolutely have adapted. That is what the Jedi do, whether they're undercover, whether they're in hiding for the sake of the fucking universe, or whether they're guarding some kid, he would take it seriously. He would pay attention, and I just don't believe that he cuts himself off, that he buries his lightsaber in the desert, for crying out loud, when something could happen. At any minute, he might have to defend himself. I don't know. And then I hear you say, well, he could just use the Force. Apparently not. He couldn't even use the Force a couple episodes later. He had to strain to use the Force to save Leia. That's not how the Force works. To quote Han Solo, that is not how the Force works. You're not going to forget. You're a freaking Jedi Knight, man, Jedi Master. You are not going to forget how to tap into the Force when you need to, and it will respond to you, and you will respond to it, because you are part of it and it's part of you, and you can just not use it. That doesn't mean you're just like, oh, I really have to strain those muscles. Nah, I don't believe that. He's not an untrained Padawan. Come on. All right, that's part of my problem. And we get into Reva and the Jedi Hunters, and all that's a little bit okay. Later on, we find out Reva was sent by Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Sorry, that was terrible. Shock of shocks. First of all, you're telling me Anakin Skywalker waited 10 years to check Tatooine? 10 years? A decade to track Obi-Wan to Tatooine? Be the first place I'd look. I'd keep somebody there all the time, just in case. That's just me. It's just silly. It's silly that they expect us to overlook this stuff. Okay, but giving that a pass for the moment. Obi-Wan's paying attention to Luke. Meanwhile, Bail Organa is chasing around a very precocious Leia, who they clearly thought they would hang this entire series on. And it doesn't work. She is a cute kid and she has good dialogue, but she doesn't deliver it all that well. This isn't like, what was her name in Game of Thrones? Lyanna Mormont, who looked those lords in the eye and straightened them up and said, oh no, you're gonna listen to me, Lord Glover. That was convincing. That girl she was speaking from the gut. It was visceral. She was pissed off, and she seemed to know what she was talking about. This little girl who's playing Leia clearly doesn't even understand what she's saying half the time. She understands bits and pieces of it. She puts it together fairly well, but she's enunciating so much that it makes her sound like a computer-generated little kid and not just a freaking kid. But all right, Leia's precocious. She's sarcastic and cute, and she has good dialogue. But she gets kidnapped because somebody wants to lure in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Reva picks her not because she's Anakin's daughter, nobody knows that, but because General Organa and he were, served together, yada yada. So they steal Leia away, and Bail doesn't use any of his powers as, the leader of the planet of Alderaan. Instead, he goes to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine, who they should probably never contact again, right? Because that's the dumbest idea possible. Everyone's in hiding for the rest of their lives. I know, I'm going to go contact that guy. It's like being in witness protection program and somebody like comes from your distant past to see you and they're like, "Hey, Bob, how's it going, buddy? Need you to help me out with something." No, I'm in the witness protection program. My name's not Bob. Okay. Well, anyway, Obi-Wan is convinced to leave Tatooine. He refuses to pick up his lightsaber, though, despite several opportunities when it would have been very handy to, use one. He just fights hand to hand instead, uses a blaster a lot. Obi-Wan Kenobi refuses to ignite his lightsaber until he is face to face again with Vader. How convenient. How non-cliche. Ugh, just so stupid. All right, so anyway, sorry, before we even get there, he rescues Leia. Him and Leia have no business being in this show together. I don't care if she gets her mind wiped at the end of this season. It's not okay to shoehorn these characters in there in places they were never intended to be at all. I don't, when I'm paraphrasing, but in episode 4, when she says, when the hologram of her, she's saying, General Kenobi, you've fought beside my father in the Clone Wars, he begs you to help us now. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. I'm paraphrasing here. She clearly had never seen him before. She had clearly never met him before. So don't tell me that he rescued her as a precocious 10-year-old child and they had all these adventures together. I don't even care if she's mind wiped. That's nonsense, and it's making your I'm sorry, I'm getting all ticked off. Let me just laugh for a second. It's making your fans, selling your fans short, right? We're smarter than that. Tell us a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Plausible adventures he may have had. It doesn't need to involve the Skywalkers. Other than the fact that he's, on Tatooine some watching Luke. No, we have to drag everyone back into this series, including Hayden freaking Christensen. Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I'm gonna get a lot of hate. Hot take. I cannot stand Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. I've never liked it in any of the movies. He was tolerable in episode 3 for some of it. I didn't need him back. I was really hoping they wouldn't bring him back. And if so, that he would just be wearing the outfit and James Earl Jones could do all the talking. I'm a fan of James Earl Jones, not Hayden. I just don't. Okay, that's not a good excuse, is it? I'll have to get into Anakin later. I can't do it right now. I gotta focus on Kenobi. It's getting a little late and I'm starting to wander anyway. I'm gonna try to focus on Obi-Wan. And what this series did poorly. All right. Eventually, Obi-Wan and Leia get to this planet, and they're trying to get away from. They're being chased. they're trying to use this underground railroad for Jedi, for Force sensitives, to get off this planet. And there's a showdown between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan just runs into the darkness, because you know what you do when you're on the edge of a small town and you've got Darth freaking Vader in front of you and you're looking at each other for the first time in 10 years going, oh, there you are. You run away into the dark. He can sense you, you idiot. That's so dumb. And that goes on for 5 minutes or so. And I'm just thinking, wow, maybe this was a COVID decision. Maybe they couldn't film it properly or something. I don't know, but that was bad. The only thing, okay, I did love this. If I were writing fan fiction, for example, and I wanted Vader and Obi-Wan to meet again, and I wanted there to be like a clash between the two, I thought to myself, what would Anakin do to Obi-Wan? The answer is exactly what Obi-Wan did to him. And that whole river of fire moment when he lights it all up, it smashes Obi-Wan into it. That is exactly what Darth Vader would do to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that was satisfying. I enjoyed what they were trying to convey there. Now, whether or not Obi-Wan would have put up more of a fight and been able to fend off Vader is a whole other discussion and argument that I don't really feel like getting into right now. But at least the concept worked. It told part of the story, it enhanced that thing. I talked in a previous video about the rules of filming fantasy series these days. So this is a little different than Star Wars, but like the big fantasy series, Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, Game of Thrones, the lessons they should be learning. One of them was don't ever film an outline. I'd like to add something to that, which is don't treat your storytelling like a wish list. It's alarming to me that these shows, Boba Fett, to some extent, even though I love Mandalorian, there's a couple of things in Mandalorian like this too. Definitely Kenobi, certainly in the sequel trilogy. It's like they sit down and 7 or 8 different authors collaborate. But when they collaborate, they're not really telling a single story. What they're doing is making a wish list of things they want to see happen. I want to see this. I want to see that. This would be really cool. That would be really cool. And then that's all they focus on are those like 10, 15, 20 moments that they want to get to in this series. And then the connecting of the dots, they don't care about. They don't spend any time whatsoever thinking through logically point A to point B. It doesn't matter to them. Who cares? Just get them there. Because all anybody cares about is the big moment, the big ooh. That's all anyone cares about. You're wrong. That's where the story is. That's where the magic is. It's not in the moment most of the time. It is the buildup, and I'm sorry. That's what storytelling is. The devil is in those details right there. If you can't get that, you've already lost. And that's exactly what Kenobi does. It lost me. I just flat don't believe this should have been a thing. I hope that Hayden Christensen stays out of the show, but I've seen some previews where it appears he and Kenobi have a rematch set in the past. It must be a vision or something absurd. Like we need to rehash the prequel trilogy. Has anyone ever have you guys ever watched is it Red Letter Review? The guy with a really weird voice like this reviews all the movies. He tears them to shreds. The parody guy. Oh, I can't remember his name. It's been years. Those were hilarious parodies and commentaries. And I can't say I disagreed with them, with much of what he had to say. Mr. Plinkett. Mr. Plinkett's reviews. Genius. I'll never do better than that. But anyway, I'm sure he'll have plenty to say about Kenobi. Oh God, I just now thought about that. Something to look forward to when Mr. Plinkett gets a hold of these this show. Ugh. Why would you do what you did to Luke in The Last Jedi to another great man? Leave Obi-Wan. Look, Obi-Wan made so many stupid decisions in this series, just between episodes 1 and 3. He didn't show any wisdom. He showed hardly any experience. It's as though he literally forgot how to be himself, and I don't believe that. I think rather than saying, oh, he never used the Force again, he leaned into the Force. He learned something. If I were writing it, that's how it would be. Damn it. He leaned into the Force, not away from it. He didn't pull away from it and say, I'm never going to touch that again. No, the Force is part of everything. What happened for a reason. And lean into that. I feel like Obi-Wan would lean into the fact that the universe does not revolve around him. And the fact that the Jedi went away means something. And it is a tragedy, but it is also, you don't get the luxury as a Jedi of leaning into your tragedy and moping around. Right? I mean, I would never. Luke, I can understand, because Luke was not raised from a child in that particular culture. You know, Obi-Wan was a Padawan. He was a typical Padawan learner. This is his life, and the Force is the Force would help him to deal with these issues, not that he has. It would give, it's a way of meditating, of finding answers, of recognizing that everything will come to a balance eventually. You have to find that for yourself, but you also have to have a sense that the universe is bigger than you, far bigger, and that just because the Empire rules, or Anakin's alive, or whatever, that's not how it's going to stay. It's just not, because Jedi would know that. Jedi would know that these things, this evil, God, I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to borrow a phrase from Aziraphale from Good Omens. You know, evil always contains the seeds of its own destruction. So, sorry. Facepalm. Can you see the halo around my head? Just turned angel there for a second. But anyway, that's my thing with Kenobi. I just don't see him moping around for 10 years and then acting like that, acting as though he doesn't remember how to be himself. Nah. He would learn from that experience, and it would be a very painful learning process, but he would learn, and it would be reflected in his decisions from that point on. I don't think he would make decisions lightly or without feeling out perhaps more details, feeling for more details in situations, not throwing himself rashly into things, really thinking them through and being clever in how he eludes hunters, being careful in how he helps people, but certainly helping them nonetheless. Anyway, that's just what I would do if I were writing Kenobi. I didn't want to just offer criticism and then not tell you what I would do. It might be a more boring show, but at least you'd have Obi-Wan making sense. Damn it. I do hope he contacts Qui-Gon in the show. I'll look it up on YouTube. Force Ghost Training 101. I don't think I need to see it. I'd like to see a glimpse of Qui-Gon again. That would be nice. That's all I got for today. Other than this really cool lightsaber. I guess I could show it off real quick. This is a lightsaber that my boyfriend Court made for me. We went to Home Depot and Lowe's and sourced a whole bunch of parts, and it's obviously cosplay sword, cosplay saber, but it's pretty awesome. Anyway, just wanted to show that off. Yay! I will catch y'all another time. Hopefully I'll have something nice to say next time. Adios. Oh yeah, guess I better stop this the correct way, huh? I'm always doing this. I'm always lingering past the edge of the conversation.